Hello and welcome back to the Sanicast, the podcast where we talk about water sanitation and hygiene issues in communities. I am your host Zach, and today we are going to be diving deep into an interesting topic, one that has intrigued my mind this month, and that is being offered a discount on rent because there is no toilet or bathroom. Keep it locked, keep it Sanicast, keep it tuned as we unravel the mysteries behind the challenges faced in informal settlements. Talking about looking for accommodation in informal settlements, first let's understand that issues to do with housing are a basic need. But as we talk about it being a basic need, the question is, does this include the amenities? In that case, the toilets, the bathrooms that we always have to advocate for in any standard housing. Well, it's a whole new twist in the informal settlement because many residents actually are being prompted to choose based on how much they can afford. In that case, being driven by the availability or absence of a toilet. But now this leaves me thinking, if a toilet is being considered a basic human right, should we really be having a discussion about whether this is deemed necessary on the part of decent living or housing? Well, sometimes I'm puzzled by even the term informal settlement, because whenever you visit some of these areas that dubbed informal settlement, you will actually find them supplied with electricity, water, and in some cases you even find internet connections in some of those areas. So that means that is a clear indicator that there could be probably some policies or legislation that binds in such settings. So why not have clear standards of housing in those areas so that we weed out this tendency of landlords trying to exploit the residents? Because we are not only talking about being in a time bomb, it puts everyone in survival mode. That is why you'll end up finding most of the polythene bags flying over and settling on rooftops, on the roadside, and probably also open defecation. Then some have to do what we call the sanitation trek, where you carry your bucket at dawn or dusk, trying to take advantage of the dark, offering you the lightest moment of privacy. But then we need to think deep. Is it really something that we should be pushing as a way of life, or we should be advocating for more stringent measures, actions to be taken? Let alone that's not even one of the challenges that we should be even discussing. The greater one is that most of these places don't have toilet, and in case they do have, they are shallow and fill up fast, so they end up being abandoned. So what should be done then? Talking about what should be done, I think we need to first accept the reality that in informal settlements there is a challenge of land space. So I've seen interventions in relation to what we call container-based sanitation systems. Well, these have tried to support the communities. In some instances, they have tried to construct communal toilets. But the question now comes in, who is responsible for keeping them hygienic? That also becomes a center of conflict. In some scenarios, like what I've seen with the Kampala City Authority, KCCA, through their Weyonje initiative, they have tried to push for a loan scheme where communities get loans payable in 2 years to facilitate construction of these toilets. So through that, sanitation is also being improved. I believe there are other interventions out there that could shape sanitation in informal settlements. But I believe this is supported by clear policy framework. We can be able to achieve or do better in ensuring that sanitation is part of a housing requirement in the community, so that we can be able to avert the risk of having high exposure in the communities, in this case pathogen exposure, as a result of poor fecal management. Well, I think also what we need to think about loudly is the issue of the frequency of emptying, because if you're relying on container-based sanitation systems, they will fill up faster. That means the service providers involved in this service chain have to have a reliable system that ensures they track the filling rates and also identify the patterns in relation to population growth if they are to be effective. Besides that, those that are relying on cesspool trucks, gulper services, they need to be clearly mapped out in a way that the issues to do with access to these specific sites is made better, and also matters to do with what goes into the pit. We have scenarios where community members throw in what would qualify as municipal waste into the pits, and this has been challenging to those involved in pit emptying because they clog the hose pipes, and sometimes they have to flash water to crack the hard pans, which increases definitely the cost of emptying. Well, as we come to the close of this episode, where we are talking about issues to do with discounted rent resulting from the lack of a toilet in the house. It's everyone's responsibility to ensure that everyone is safe and healthy in the community. Institutions will play their role, but remember, our behavior plays a significant part in ensuring systems work efficiently. Please don't throw in what does not belong to the pit latrine. And besides that, you need to be aware that pit latrines have got a biological process that helps in degrading the waste. So by the time these people are coming to pick, who knows, maybe some of you complaining about quick filling, if you allow the system work in the intended way, probably you would observe a mass reduction. And also don't be sold to the idea of additives. Additives work under certain circumstances. You've seen adverts running around on television or on radio when people tell you if you add this bio-based additive or if you add this chemical-based additive. I think that needs to be studied and understood clearly, because some clients who have used these have reported formation of hard pans, which have led them to literally dig up the waste from the pit, and some have abandoned these toilets because of failure to empty. So you may look for an easier way to solve your issue, which is quick, but the overall cost may overwhelm you in the end. So you can imagine spending quite a large sum to construct a toilet and then spending less than $1 to manage the volume, only to later abandon it. That's sad. Oh yes, this brings us to the close. However, before I exit, it's my humble appeal to you to be responsible, take good care of yourself and keep healthy. I believe in the strength we have together. We can create a difference. Every piece you put up as an individual, collectively, can steer change in the community. Until next time, I am your host, Zach.